Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Tragic 2 Podcast. Thanks very much for tuning in. It's Dan and Saoirse here with you. Don't forget to like and follow our pages on Instagram and on TikTok. Because we're there now.
We are there now.
We're also, because somebody I remember messaged me on the Instagram page about Apple Podcasts. Remember when, because I had an argument with Apple. You remember this?
I remember that. Yeah, that was bad.
I had a very big argument with Apple, but we are now on Apple thanks to Dave.
Yay!
Dave took over our podcast for a day and was like, "Yeah, we're on everything, guys." And I'm like, "Okay."
I was like, Dan, it took you 3 years to do this. It would have taken me 6 years, and Dave, it took a day.
And it's really taken off on TikTok as well, which is great.
Some of the comments on TikTok are very strange. Now, not just for us, just in general. People say exactly what they want.
Exactly. They don't hold back.
They don't, which is kind of good, I guess.
Yeah.
Like
but
that.
we've been getting great figures on the old TikTok. So
Happy
thanks
days.
if you've been following us on TikTok.
Now to bring the figures down, we are talking about near-death experiences. Okay, not really near-death, okay? Accidents.
Yeah.
Accidents. It happens all of us, the
Yeah.
best of us. I got away with a lot as a young child. I didn't actually damage myself too much. I did try to jump out of trees to break my leg.
Oh, we all
just
did
because I
that.
wanted crutches, the usual, but it didn't happen.
You wanted the attention.
I really wanted the attention. I was a middle child and I didn't get much.
Saoirse would have done anything
Pretty
to get the
much
attention. Here, Mom, look,
anything.
I'm on this tree.
Yeah, I did make up for that years later, as she knows. But probably the worst thing that I do remember as a child didn't actually happen to me, but happened to my little brother, right? So
Okay.
I was minding him in the garden. My mom was hoovering upstairs. I think I was 8, he was 4. And we had guinea pigs. And the guinea pigs were in a cage, like a guinea pig hutch thing outside that my dad had built. And he was under this tree. I was meant to be watching him. I realised that there was a rat under the tree.
Ooh.
I didn't really think anything of it. I was 8. I didn't know rats were in any way bad. And he went to pick it up and it bit onto his finger. All I remember seeing was my brother, who's 4 years of age,
did he do the whole...
trying to get the rat off his finger, and the rat was like, I can remember the teeth just digging in, and he couldn't get it. Oh, what I remember. And I was at the top of the climbing frame, and I ran in, told my mom there's a rat on his finger. I don't actually know how they got him off. Anyway, maybe they hit it, I don't know, or he fell off. He had to get a tetanus shot.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it was horrendous. But yeah, that was something that disturbed me for the rest of my life.
Did he turn into, what's his name from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? What was his name? The
Michelangelo?
rat. Michelangelo.
What did he do? Oh, he turned into the rat.
Did your brother turn into Michelangelo?
No, I'd say he would have loved to, though. I would be I'm still terrified of rats because of that.
Yeah.
He's not, weirdly enough. Like, he wouldn't be...
Oh, you would think that would
He
be
wouldn't
like
flinch.
traumatic.
Very traumatic,
It was
yeah.
traumatic for you.
Now, I also remember a time when I was younger being brought to Temple Street. I don't know why she believed me. I had obviously got a sore throat, but I was convinced that I was sucking on a necklace that was around my neck at the time, that I had swallowed some of the beads.
Oh.
From the necklace. Now, I obviously just never had felt like that lump in your throat as a child. And I kept complaining. And then I told her that I must have eaten the beads of the necklace. So
What did they go examining?
she was like, really? And I remember her bringing me into Temple Street and being put up on the table or whatever. And they're like, there's nothing wrong with her. Like, there's nothing. She didn't swallow the necklace. I was brought to McDonald's afterwards, though. But I'd say she was like, I took her out of school because I thought she ate a necklace and she didn't. Why?
I was a child who would constantly cry wolf in school at being sick.
Oh, just trying to put on
Just
the act.
trying to, I'm not feeling well.
And did they
I feel
believe
really
you?
Sick. Yeah.
See, I would have been bet around the place if
Yeah.
I had called in sick. Called in
I
sick.
kinda
Sorry, if I was like,
Sorry, miss.
Sorry,
I'm
not in today.
fucked today.
Imagine you were able to do that.
God.
Sorry, we went to sick bay. If I went to sick bay, I knew if I'm not puking my ring up, she is going
if you're
to
not
kill me.
literally about to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I never did it because I
Yeah.
was too afraid.
Because I did all the time from primary school. The reason I did it was that I wouldn't have done like the homework.
Yeah. So you're trying to get away with it.
So it gets to maths, and I was like, oh no,
You're like,
I
if I
didn't do
come in.
maths. And like my journal's on my desk, and it's like, oh, they're gonna write home to my mom. I was going, all right, I'll go into the toilet, and then I go to the toilet and come back. oh, miss, I'm really not well. I think I've been sick inside, and I'm really, really not well. And it's like, oh, do you want to just go outside for a little bit of air? I was like, yeah.
Oh, they were way nicer than our school.
No.
Our school was horrible.
And they get the phone and they'd be like, oh, I think you're gonna have to come and collect Dan now because he's not really feeling well. And my mother knew, you prick.
Yeah, I cannot believe. But I have to look like I'm a good mother.
Yeah.
I hope you're
God,
feeling
no,
okay.
let him suffer.
But any like proper injuries as a child?
Yes, I actually fell off a slide. No, sorry, not from the top of the slide, I'd have to point out. But from the end, I fell off an end of a slide in Fort Lucan.
I remember we used to go on summer camps there.
Yeah. So I'm going down the slide and it's at the end of it. And instead of, arse hooshing myself to the end, I stand up on the slide. And because I've no balance, I just went over and broke my arm.
You broke your arm?
I broke my arm. And so we had...
Do you remember the pain of it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I will never forget the pain of it. Oh, God. I was screamed the fucking place down. We had an au pair at the time who had taken me and my brother to Fort Lucan.
Oh, so your parents weren't there?
my dad had dropped her off with us at Fort Lucan. We were to do our whatever we were doing, and he would come back and pick us up and whatever. So I was screaming the place down. She was, I'm going to say Russian.
Okay.
We had a German and we had a Russian. I think she was the Russian, and it would have been around the time my sister was born as well. Yeah. So screaming the place down. My dad had to come, and he brought me straight to Temple Street Hospital. Now he tells me this story because I have no recollection of it. He only told it recently. That when they were examining me, when they see you first in triage and, ask you, oh, well, what happened and where's the pain?
Did your dad break your arm? That's what they kind of do. Yeah, they do ask those questions.
So they say, okay, so Daniel, what happened to you? And my dad started explaining, oh, he was in Fort Lucan and he stood up and he fell off a slide. And he goes, like, the stop.
Yeah.
You tell me what happened. And my dad said he didn't realize it at the time.
Yeah.
He only realized it later going, oh my God, they're asking him, like, did I beat my child?
That's exactly what they're asking.
Because that's what they have to do.
They do, yeah. They will ask that question.
And he was terrified.
Right.
He said he was terrified that I was going to say my dad bet me around the place.
But imagine you did for the crack. Just imagine you were like, actually... I'll just tell another
sorry,
story.
We have to say that look, we're laughing about it, but this actually does happen in real life.
I know
which is
it
terrible.
does. Yeah,
and that's why they ask you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
At the hospital. But anyway, so I said I stood up on the slide and I fell over and blah. So so I broke my arm in Fort Lucan, and I will never forget the
Did
pain.
you get your cast signed by your friends?
Everybody, but the thing was, I will never ever forget how fucking itchy it was.
Oh, I heard.
In the cast.
Yeah, I heard it gets really itchy.
It is a bastard.
Yeah.
Like, okay. And I remember the day. Excuse me, I went in to get the cast off, and there was like the doctor with this massive fucking electric saw.
Oh God!
To cut down the cast to take it off.
Yeah.
Because like I had the cast on for like 2 months.
Yeah.
And like my arm just immediately went.
Yeah, because you
straight down.
No
there was
muscle.
no muscle. So like my arm was just like floating around for fucking ages. So broke my arm in Fort Lucan. I've done stupid things as well with I dislocated my knee. We spoke in the last podcast about when I went to New York on crutches. Dislocated my knee playing football on a green with my friends.
It's always boys.
It's always boys.
Always boys doing this.
And I remember an ambulance that we had to call an ambulance because like my knee was like literally out of its socket. And
I've seen footballers with that on the pitch and stuff.
Now, so I was 17, I think, when this happened, and this was my first experience of the laughy gas.
Oh, it's so fun.
It is the crack.
Yeah.
It is the crack. My dad tells me that in the back of the ambulance, they were. I spoke. I don't even remember it, but I was talking so much shit.
I'd say they're so used to it as well. They're like, yeah, okay, you just keep talking. Once the pain is not severe,
and I'd be talking. Apparently, I gave them a history of Blanche's 10 villages. We were pulling into it.
You probably were completely numb as well.
Oh, completely.
Hadn't
a fuck. I couldn't feel my face. You could have punched me repeatedly in the face, and I wouldn't have known. And as the ambulance was driving down into Blanche Village, apparently I gave a history of Blanche Village.
Which I'm sure they knew very well.
There's a book in my house about the history of Castleknock and Blanchardstown. So apparently I just started fucking reading this off the top of my head.
Oh dear God. I'd say your dad was like, now keep that in your head for the leaving cert, okay?
So it got then into the hospital, and because they had to take away the gas in the ambulance as they were rolling me in to the hospital, the effect was starting to wear off, and suddenly I'm feeling,
feel the pain.
Oh, actually, shit, my knee's hanging out. Oh my God, I'm freaking out. And so you go into the room anyway, and the doctor's there going, okay, so I'm going to count. So you take a big inhale of that gas now, and on the count of 3, I'm just going to very, very gently just pop your knee in. And they're going, you're going to do what? And he's going, no, it'll be okay. Just go, just big, couple of really big, deep breaths. And so I start feeling the thing again. I remember feeling something.
Yeah.
Right? As he was because he literally had to go and put it back in.
Oh, the shivers.
Yeah.
Gross.
And I remember going, I know that's my knee going back in, and that should be really, really painful, but it's really, really not. I'm completely off my face.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And they had to wrestle the thing off me. The pencil, what do they call it? The pencil, the gas. They had to wrestle it off me because I was like, no, I'm having too much fun here.
I'm keeping it, yeah. Well, at least you felt nothing for some of it. I remember a neighbour of ours. He was probably about 10. I don't know anything about men's parts. He was in our house playing a game of pool. You know, back in the day where you'd get the pool tables for Christmas and stuff. So my brother got one. It wasn't like a proper one, but it was decent enough. Yeah. He was playing pool, this child, right?
Okay.
And he went to hit the ball.
Oh,
pull it back,
no. And he hit himself
he hit himself and his ball went somewhere.
The snooker ball.
The snooker ball. Not the snooker ball. The ball. He was 10.
The testicle ball.
Yeah. Now, I don't know where it went. I was only 12 at the time. I wasn't told much about it, but he went to hospital. He was in there for a few days. It went...
So as he was taking the stick back, he hit himself in the balls.
Yeah. I can't even remember, much about... I just remember the scream.
Oh, God.
Now, I know what it's like, to kick someone in the balls and watch them fall over. And because we used to do it as teenagers all the time where we would
what?
Yeah, with the lads in our group that we'd dare each other to do it for the crack. And
you just kick a random lad in the balls.
If you kicked us there, it would be sore. It'd be like, ow. But you're not going to really be in too much pain. We didn't realise. I still don't get it. Okay, I still don't know how it can be that sore. But anyway.
You mean
I'll take your word for
bitch.
it. But I have never heard a sound like it. The child sounded like he was about to die.
Because it is the most fucking painful thing.
And I don't know if he has one ball now. I'm not sure. I mean, he's married. I don't know what happened with his ball.
Oh, could you imagine the slagging he would have got?
Horrendous.
One ball, Timmy.
But I do remember my older brother and his friends.
8 ball.
Joking about him. Yeah, it was terrible. Anyway, I don't know how that's one of those freak accidents as kids. How does that even happen? I do not know. But a freak accident that happened to me, a lot of my near-death experiences happened when I got older, right? This wasn't quite near-death. But
was this yesterday?
No, I was 23 maybe when this happened. Was staying in my mom's and had a cup of green tea, right? Mm-hmm. So I had filled the tea
all
way
the way
up, right?
to the top.
And I don't put milk in it, obviously. You don't put milk in green tea. And she had these leather couches. So I was sitting back and I was wearing silk pajamas. It was in the morning. When I say silk pajamas, they were pennies, but thin, really thin, silky pajamas. And I was scooting back to try and get comfy. I think I was watching Oh my God. Jerry Springer. I think it was a repeat of that and I was thrilled. Anyway, a bit spilled on me. Her kettle was, I know kettles go to an extreme temperature.
Yeah.
Hers was off the fucking charts at the time, right? I remember thinking that compared to the one I had at home because I was living out at the time. I just happened to stay that night and a little bit spilled on me and I must have got such a shock at how bloody hot it was that I ended up pouring more on by accident. And you know when you're like, oh God, that was like, I went into shock.
Yeah.
But it cupped under my bum.
Oh no.
And because it was a leather couch.
Oh, you burned your arse.
So next minute I was like, ow, that was really sore. And like obviously half the cup of tea had gone.
You
put it down.
scalded your arse.
But not only that, I was like, oh my God, okay, the pain is getting way worse. Way worse.
It's like time to take these clothes off.
And then the pajamas were sticking.
And
melting into my skin.
No. Oh God.
At this point, I took my trousers off in the middle of the sitting room. Now, our house was completely open plan at the time, so anyone could walk around. I was completely butt naked. I ran upstairs in so much shock into my bathroom. Thankfully, my brother wasn't around because he was there at the time. I ran up to the bathroom and was like, oh my God. And then I panicked and I grabbed a towel. Now, I am bawling, crying. The pain was off the charts. Ran downstairs. My mom was a nurse at the time and she was like, get upstairs, quick. So she knew what had just happened. Cold water. Yeah. This stage, blisters forming. I'm talking the size of my hand, massive blisters everywhere. She brought me to A&E. Now, I couldn't even lie down in the car. I was just hysterically crying. Yeah. Like barged through the doors of A&E and I was like, I'm burnt, I can't. And the skin just keeps burning. Oh God. So it's like eating.
You literally burnt the arse off yourself.
Burnt the arse off myself. But not only that, so it burnt the back of my bum and it burnt down there. Right?
Oh no.
And so I was taken into a room. Obviously they knew it was actually bad. It was like 3rd degree burns. Like on my ass. Yeah, it was really bad. Like they thought that like they might have to take it further and get skin like it was really bad. Anyway, so I was in there, but they were like, what happened? And my mom was telling them what happened and they brought me into a room. Now they were putting on the
asking you, did your mom do it?
And they were like, can you just tell us what exactly happened? And they said, did she throw that cup of tea at you? And I was like, no. I was like scooched on the couch.
She probably might now.
And they were like, you can be honest with us because she's outside. And they were like, because what you're telling us doesn't add up. You're saying that you were sitting on the couch with your cup of tea. How did that get to the back of you? And I was like, I don't know. But it did.
Oh no, so they're still suspicious.
They were like, if you had spilt that tea, it would be on your front. You would have scalded your chest and you didn't. It doesn't make sense. And I was like, no, I swear to God. And I was like, no, this actually happened. But then later on, she was like, they full on had me in a room, like interrogated. They were like, were you angry? Were you whatever? Were you having a fight? I was like, oh my God, she actually was helping me.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but it was crazy. Anyway, it healed. I have a new bum now. It's like the skin just like I had blisters.
Smooth as a baby's arse.
I had blisters from back to front. Like I had blisters all over down there. Now, could you imagine blisters? I couldn't sleep for weeks. But I remember going back after about 2 weeks and I was really upset because they told me, look, this probably will scar. And anyway, he was like, well, wasn't it good that it wasn't your face? And I was like, actually, yeah.
I've done that with a hot water bottle. So you know when you pour in the boiling water from the kettle in the hot water bottle, and then you have to try and just squeeze. There's like a little bit of air, and you're making sure that the air has gone out of it as you're putting the stopper in. But I held the bottle between my arm and my tit as I was trying to put the thing back, and it squeezed the water up. Yeah, and all over my but it's such
a shock, isn't it?
I felt it against sticking to my skin, through my t-shirt. Yeah. And I think I actually ripped the t-shirt off, like literally ripped the t-shirt off myself. It was so much pain. Yeah. And then for about 2 weeks afterwards, and this was coming up to, was I going away somewhere? No. For 2 weeks afterwards, I had the most awkward red mark under my boob. Yeah. My man tit.
Your man tit. Yeah.
My moob.
At least you could cover it.
But it was just so awkward. Like when I'm in the gym or whatever, and I'm getting changed afterwards, and there's just this big, really awkward fucking red mark.
I had basically a nappy on for 2 weeks. That's my ass was scalded. I think that's slightly worse.
Oh, God.
It was awful. But anyway, that was one of my 20s moments. But another one was, because I'm left-handed, which I think I'm always more accident prone being left-handed. And I was a big fan of having lunch with a bread roll.
So don't blame clumsiness on being a lefty.
I'm sorry. A lot of people will tell you that we apparently are more
clumsy,
accident prone and die 7 years younger. And it's not because of being left-handed. It's because we're in more accidents. Because it's a right-handed
Because you're
world.
a lefty.
Yeah.
Because it's a right-handed
That's
world.
that is what they tell us, okay? I'm going with that. But anyway, I was cutting a bread roll, right? I used to have them all the time for lunch, and I'm there in the apartment and I'm cutting the bread roll like this, right? So
do you have to go into a leftporium? Is Ned Flanders working there?
Do you know what? I'd love to. I have a left-handed scissors, I have a left-handed pen. I have all of the things.
Sorry, no. You didn't say that.
I do.
There's no such thing as a left-handed pen.
Yes, there is. I have
a one. Pen is a pen, no matter what hand you write it.
The way I hold my pen, it's actually designed to fit
there
in between my
be
fingers.
Such thing as a
I have one, and
pen.
it's very comfortable. Okay, and a left-handed scissors. Okay. Anyway, I'm there cutting my roll with my left hand, minding my own business, and of course, I'm cutting it like this. And what do? The knife slips and goes, cuts right down my thumb. And I was like, it's okay. There was no one else there. Hemorrhaging blood. Now, I mean like hemorrhaging blood. I was like, okay, now this is a little bit more than a cut. So I was like, what do you do when you're hemorrhaging blood? So I ran downstairs. Covered. No, I didn't. I was like, it's still happening.
Just let this bleed out.
I also was like,
it's a good run.
Is this all my blood? Like, is it just going to disappear? Am I going to just die? It literally wouldn't stop. And yeah, I didn't cover it. I'm on the 3rd floor apartment. I decided to run down the stairs. So
the blood
trail
everywhere.
And there was a guy outside doing the garden who I didn't know well at all. And I ran out with my thumb gushing blood, asking for help. And
I can't deal with
he backed off and he was like, no. Because he probably was like, she could have AIDS. I'm not touching her. So he literally backed off as in, get away from me.
Not far from it.
And I literally was there crying in front of him and he's like, no, fuck off. I'm not dealing with this.
I can't do blood.
It was, and I had to ring my mom again.
Cannot do blood. I think that's one of the reasons why I didn't stick with the St. John's ambulance. I can't handle blood.
Either.
If I see blood, I go weak.
It is gross.
I'm actually starting to feel weak.
That's why you don't swing this way.
Well, I'm not sure it's because of that.
Because believe you and me, right? When it happens, it's
flow.
a fucking bloodbath.
Oh,
it is. I'm
God.
sorry, but it's the truth. It's the truth.
I remember going to a doctor. I had to try and find out what my vitamin levels were like because I was on this very, very intense course of medication at the time, and it had completely brought my mood down, like complete in like fucking proper depression mode, right?
Yeah.
So this doctor dealt with, all the vitamin levels. So he was trying to take my bloods. Couldn't find a vein at all. And like and what freaked me out most about this guy is that now I'm not trying to be ageist, but he was very old. Like, could be in the box the next day.
Jesus, now don't be saying that.
Like he was a fossil.
Okay.
He was like really old.
Yeah, but maybe he just don't have protruding veins.
And he's like, I'm sorry. And I'm even thinking about it, I'm getting weak thinking about it.
I know.
But he's like, I'm sorry, I just can't find this vein. I'm like, oh, holy shit. So he's trying to go in with the needle anyway, even though he can't fucking find the vein. He's using my arm like a pin cushion.
Stop.
Trying to do this. And like, I'm there going, if he puts the fucking needle into me again, I'll put the needle into him. And I got so fucking weak that I passed out on the table. I passed out on the table.
Oh.
And I woke up and all I could see is him holding my legs up. And I'm like, what the fuck just happened? And yeah, I'm like, no, sorry, I'm getting out of here. Fuck your vitamins. I don't care if I don't have any vitamins. I'm going home.
No.
So we went to the hospital. We went to Vincent's to try and see if they could do it. And I went in, I sat down, and I said, listen, I'm after having this rotten experience with a doctor who had said I'm fucking passed out. I couldn't fucking do anything. So she's like, no, you're fine. She says, are you bad with needles? And I said, well, I am now. And so she goes, okay, just look at that way. And she goes, what do you do? And I said, well, I said I work for a 104. No. So she straight away.
Oh,
straight away she found it. Straight away she got it, and she got what she needed, and whatever. By the time I said I work for FM, because I worked for 104 at the time, by the time I had said the letters FM 104, she goes, done. I'm going, oh,
happy days. Yeah,
it's like your man fucking spent a half an hour stabbing me with a needle.
I know. I've never had that issue, as you can tell. My veins pop out like there's no tomorrow. So I've never had that issue, but I hate getting blood taken. It's horrendous.
My closest stroke to death.
Yeah.
Right, was only last year. And I'm sorry, Paddy, but I have to tell the story. My friend Paddy, who I was down in Spain with quite recently, we were going down to a Munster match in Limerick, and he crashed. He crashed into the back of somebody. Now, it was the person in front of us's fault, because it was sort of like, it was kind of like a domino effect. He jammed on because somebody else jammed on because somebody else jammed on. So we just ended up going into the back of this guy, and it was pretty bad. There was a fair bit of damage.
Like, did the airbags come out?
No, luckily, right? Airbags didn't come out. I was worried about somebody else coming into the back of us, because that would have been so much worse, having got into the front of him and then suffered the back as well. Anyway, we're against the crash barrier on the N7 Nace Road, just outside of, it was just before Kill, I think. And so we're against this, and like the car in front is smashed up as well. There was damage done to my passenger side door, so I couldn't even open the door. He couldn't open the door because we're right against the crash barrier. So we ring in 112, and they're like, I said, look, we need the guards, we need the fire brigade, we need the ambulance. I said, there's a lot of damage done here. I said, and it's a pretty bloody busy road as well, because there were people, they do the rubbernecking when they're passing by, and they're fucking nosy. So I made the 112 call, and they said, yeah, we'll get somebody out there as soon as. They're like, are you in pain? And I'm like, well, I'm not sure. I think I'm in shock initially. So I'm not sure if there's pain anywhere else. So, like, can you just get here, basically, quick? 5 more calls later to 112. 5, right? One of the times I rang back, I was like, lads, like we're sitting in this crashed car on the N7 for 40 minutes.
Wow. That's
before the motorway recovery van. He was the first on the scene.
That's insane.
Because obviously there was so much traffic. And I think the fire brigade arrived before the first guard. And the fire brigade closed the road. And they're like, are you in pain? But I'm like, I don't fucking know. I was taken the back. I was through the back of the car because my door wouldn't open. And it was just terrible. I think I suffered a little bit of whiplash. But like, I was like, holy shit. So my car was at the Red Cow because I parked there, and he picked me up from the Red Cow and we went on. So the guard drove us back with the Blues and Twos. It was very fun. Drove us back to the Red Cow to pick up the car. And I said, look, I'll just drop you. Your man, the guard, was like, you'd still make the kickoff if you drove. And I was like, I am not fucking driving now. You can feck off.
Yeah.
So anyway, I picked up the car, drove my mate home. And as I was pulling into where he lived, I nearly went into the back of somebody, and I was like, somebody just doesn't like me today. Somebody has it out for me.
But were you scared?
I was scared shitless.
Yeah, it's after you're in a car crash, you literally are terrified of the car.
But like the ambulance crew's like, are you sure you don't need us to check you out? And I'm like, I don't know. Well, surely that's something you need to check. It's like, I don't know. So we literally walked from this wreck. And like, we had closed the entire N7. Like, there was a mass. I saw it. One of the guys that I work with now, he does the live drive.
Oh yeah. And
so he showed me the reporting of this accident on their database, and I was like, ha, we caused that.
Oops.
So when I got back to my car, I was sitting with my hand, like my hands were, now I have a shaky hand anyway, but my hands were shaking. They were going fucking 90. And again, nearly fucking went into the back of somebody as I was driving my friend home. And then the rest of the trip home on my own, I was like, I think I drove like 30 kilometers an hour the rest of the way home.
The fear of God into
absolutely.
you. It really does.
And then every time I saw a brake light,
I
was like, shit.
Yeah.
And I remember rolling into the driveway. My dad on the television was watching the match I had gone down to,
and
or
he
was
was like,
supposed
"What
to
are
be
you doing
going
back?"
to, and like sees me rolling into the driveway going, what happened? And like he comes to the door and I said, just walk in the house, don't ask any questions, don't tell mom. So I had to tell them, and then of course, you know, there was an initial freak out, and I was like, it's like, you crashed your car, and I'm like, no, my car's there.
Yeah. It wasn't anything to do
My
with me.
car's fine.
Yeah.
But I just
Oh God.
But it's a horrendous experience.
I was also in a car crash when I was 17, a very bad car crash. So I
awful.
wasn't driving either. But we were, you know, when you learn to drive at 17, I don't know, it was a big thing when I was in 5th year. The second you turned 17, everybody wanted to learn
the
drive.
theory. Yeah.
So my friend had learned to drive in her mom's car, and you're stupid at 17. And so we were hanging around with these guys in Clontarf, and we decided to have a race with them. So we were like, let's have a little race around Clontarf. Now we were flooring it, okay? Flooring it. And
Down that Hoth Road.
no, it was all around Castle Avenue.
Oh, yeah.
All around Castle Avenue. And
Oh, geez, my granny wouldn't have been too impressed
she
with
would
that.
not have been too impressed. I think it was, I can't remember what road. Anyway, flying down, and she said to me, will we go straight or go right? And I was like, last minute, go right. We'd passed the turn, and she,
no.
we were
And she tried to
flooring
overcompensate.
it, and she went whoosh. So we had gone past the turn, and then a huge sharp turn to the right. We went straight into a tree. Now, thank God we didn't hit a wall, because the tree just happened to be in front of the wall. The car went on fire.
Shit.
Airbags came out. Like, it was
Properly wrote off.
proper. I was obviously wearing a seatbelt. I'd be dead otherwise.
Yeah.
Airbags, came out. I had smacked my head off the windscreen.
Oh,
Even
God.
still, like, that's how fast we were going. Massive lump my head. Now, all I thought about was, okay, after we got out of the car, I got out. I jumped out of the car. The lads had actually seen it happen, even though they were ahead of us. They saw that, like, what is that smoke coming out? Like, why are they not behind us?
Jesus.
So they came back. She was still in the car.
Oh, no.
So I had gotten out of the car, and like I couldn't see her. It was like literal
Smoke.
flames. Yeah. And then they got her out of the car, and that was fine. And then I thought, oh shit, I'm meant to be going to an 18th tonight.
That was the first thing that was on
That
your
was the
mind.
first thing. I was like, we're
Jesus.
alive, we're fine. I have a lump on my head, but don't worry.
My social life has
My
to...
social life. And I thought, don't ring your mom. And she was like, how can I not ring my mom?
Yeah,
like,
the car is on fire.
The car's on fire, and she was like, I'm just going to tell my mom that a cat ran across the road. And I was like, yeah, tell her that a cat ran across the road. Anyway, of course, neighbours came out of the houses. The car is on fire, squashed into a tree, like completely gone. And people were coming down videoing it like it was horrendous, like all the guys. And so ambulance arrives immediately, and I was like, "Oh no, I actually have places to be. I'm not gonna go into the ambulance." And they were like, "You're literally looking at me. You've been in a car crash. Your head is swollen. You need to go to hospital and get that checked. Like, you could have a bleed in your brain." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh no, but like I don't have time. Like, how long will this
Because
be?"
like they said,
and he was
like,
get in the ambulance now. Like, we're not
Get in my ambulance.
Anyway, we get in, right? They drive us to A&E, but because we were conscious, we didn't go unconscious. And the whole time they were like, doing all these tests, like, look here, look there,
Concussion and stuff,
asking us loads of questions, and we were fine. Got to the hospital, and it was a Saturday, and it was
probably
like
packed.
chaos. And I was like, it was like 8-hour waiting list or something. Now, bear in mind, my head was out here. Like, it was really bad. And I was like, I can't stay. I'm leaving. My mom was called up, obviously. She found out about it. And she was like, oh my God, you need to be seen to. I was like, no, I'm going to that 18th. She was like, you are not going to that 18th. Get in there now. And I was like, I'm going. I left. I walked out of the hospital, didn't get checked up, went to the 18th, drank a shit ton of wine.
Saoirse, you probably blanked out, did you?
I actually didn't.
No.
Woke up and I was absolutely fine.
Oh, God.
But like, she still is like, to this day, she's like, I cannot believe you did that. Like, at the time, you think you're invincible.
Oh, you do?
do not have any fear. Like, if that happened to me now, I would be shitting bricks. Like, Googling, how long will I have to live? If the bleed... Like, I didn't give a shit. I drank a bottle of wine and was having the time of my life. There was no way I was missing that 18th. But the stupidity.
Always drive safely, folks.
Yeah, please do. Don't race, boys. And I really don't think you should drive at 17 either. I think 17 is slightly too young.
Yeah,
I do.
Well, any like, there's no like, just don't be fucking.
Don't be
people.
stupid.
Don't be a prick on the road.
No. But yeah, that was my near-death experience, which was very close.
And like how we ended up being the tragic two just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Maybe I could blame that. Maybe I was concussed. Maybe that changed
You're
my brain.
still concussed. Yeah. Because they say, like, especially with whiplash, because I was starting to get symptoms of it probably about 2 or 3 days later. Like, I had a lot of pain, obviously going across where the seatbelt would have been, sort of down my shoulders and down my chest.
You know, when you're on a motorway like that, you don't realise until you stop suddenly.
And like, it seemed before we went into the back of the car, it seemed an age before it actually happened, because my friend jammed on the brake.
Yeah.
But we were still like going a fair distance, and then whack into the back of it.
But they often say as well that, like, I looked at this afterwards, that when you're in a near-death experience, life goes into slow motion.
Yes.
And that's exactly
your life flashes.
What happened. Like,
I thought, oh shit, I'm dead.
Yeah. We turned that car, and I remember thinking everything just went like that, like really slowly.
Yeah.
And it was like I was underwater.
Yeah.
And then it was...
Yeah.
But it was like I knew it was...
It was like that moment when you jump in the pool.
Yeah, exactly like that. Terrifying.
And you're waiting to come up surface.
Yeah. It was a horrible feeling.
Yeah, no, it really is. It really, really is. So there you go.
So let's stay safe.
We're tragic.
But we're alive.
We're alive, and we're telling the tale, and we're laughing about it now. Anyway, so there you go. There's our tragedy stories for you. Log on to us, or log on and get us on Instagram, and get us on TikTok as well. You can find us on YouTube. A Podcast Geek and Dave O'Gara has produced this episode as always. Thanks very much indeed for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.